Hare Krishna. Somebody can please lead the invocation prayers.
Prabhuji,
Mother Chicha, go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjala Salakaya Chakrurumiritam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Kadamayam Dadati Swayam Padantikam. Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yuktapada Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagari Jatam Sahaganas Raghunathavam सजीवं सद्वैत सवादूतं पारिजातं साहितं कृष्णा चैतन्य दिव्यं श्री राधा कृष्णा पदान् सह गणा ललिता श्री विशाखा वितंश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन वैरा गौरांगी राधा वृंदा नवेश्वरी वृषभानुस्तुते देवी प्रमामानि हरिप्रिये वंशकल्पतरुभिष्याश्च कृपा सिंधु भय एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्री वसादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जय श्री कृष्ण।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for coming. So today we will cover Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 10. Time permitting, we will cover some portion of Chapter 11. Let's see how much our time permits. Let's begin with you all explaining one or more points and asking one or more questions.
Prabhuji, last time we discussed about Deva Maharaj's homecoming, and all people received. We also saw how the city was decorated and how Deva Maharaj's father, seeing the son so much bestowed by benedictions, so he gave the throne to him and went to the forest. And the question one, why was Dhruva not very pleased, although the Lord fulfilled his desire? My submission, Prabhuji. By the mercy of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Dhruva achieved the desired result following the advice of Narada Muni by devotional service. That is, esteemed status of authority. Not occupied by anyone else in his family tree or history. He was not very pleased because of his self-realization that he was childish and ashamed of being childish. That he demanded something from the Lord. He was not very pleased because of his realization that he should not have asked for anything from the Lord. This is my submission, Prabhuji.
All right, very good. Correct points. Anybody else? We discussed many points last class.
Prabhuji, Dhruva shame because he demanded a material benefit out of the Lord, which a devotee should not have. So he shame.
Okay, very good. Rest of you, some points from our previous discussion.
Prabhuji, so real knowledge is revealed to the devotee only when he comes to the right conclusion about the grace of the Lord. That's what he realized, Prabhupada.
Yeah, so
Although he has satisfied the supreme soul of the whole universe, I have prayed only for the useless thing. It is like the treatment to a dead body.
yeah. So understand that Krishna's reciprocation will continue according to your level and according to your surrender. It's not that Krishna will give you the knowledge only after you become a pure devotee. No, while you are in the progress, you will keep getting knowledge little by little. It's not only towards the end that you get the knowledge from Krishna.
Okay, understood. Thank you,
Prabhuji, after everybody gives some points, I seek one clarification in the
All right.
home end about what you have given.
Okay. Rest of you, anything to add? Everybody should have at least one point. Other batches, we follow the process of populating a striking point and inquiry on a Google form every week, and everybody does it. So you should also follow that process. We are not using the Google form for your dispatch, but you should have something to recall from our previous conversation. Otherwise, we are not getting the full benefit. Shivangi?
Prabhuji, for me, it's still so surprising that 5-year-old boy did all this. So, and that too in 6 months. So that's what strikes with me from the last class.
Yeah, very
Like
good.
that's his age and the way that he's developed. So
Yeah. So that
yeah.
proves you are absolutely correct that it's a very unique situation. It proves the level of determination that we need to have such determination. I mean, even Prahlad Maharaj, if you look on the screen, Prahlad Maharaj was also very young. Yeah, he's pure devotee from before. But Prahlad Maharaj is also at a very young age, saw and knew that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yes, Prabhuji.
The rest of you who have not spoken.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So just my realization, Prabhu. So just by following the instructions of the spiritual master Narada Muni, so how without the age consideration, how we can attain the Supreme Lord? That is what is being showcased. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah, very good. That yes, by following spiritual master's instructions, spiritual master also gives you the empowerment to execute what he is telling you. And this also, we read in previous class that Bhakti Yoga is possible at any age. Or even for Parikshit Maharaj is described that Bhakti Yoga can be performed in the womb also. One can chant any place, anywhere. While the Karma Yoga process or the other processes are not possible at such a young age. Very good.
Prabhuji, like the text 28, Prabhuji, the word arthavit means one can discriminate between reality and unreality. And arthavit is also called the Paramahamsa. That is how he accepts only the active principles from the mixture of the milk and water, how the swan takes only the milk from the mixture of water and milk, whereas the Paramahamsa accepts only the Supreme Personality Godhead has his life and soul, so neglecting all the other material things. So here Dhruva Maharaj is in that category. Due to his determination, he achieved his desire, but not happy while returning home.
Yeah, very good remembrance of the keyword earth with. Yeah, very good.
Prabhuji, Badramte means all good fortune unto it. This word is like a blessing to devotees, Prabhuji.
Very good, Patramte. Uncle can go ahead with his inquiry.
Before going for the inquiry, two more significant points which I realized. It is a classical example of discussion of great Vaishnavas. One example is Shruti, mother, even though her son was not treated well, but she is being a great Vaishnavi. She took Surisi and her son because she has no any negative feeling and take them Uttama also. That is one. Another thing, Dhruva Maharaj himself, when he returned, he offered obeisance to everybody, which is a classical example of being a great Vaishnava. This is my
Okay, very good.
realization in this. And also one more thing which I felt that if one has a material desire wants liberation, it offers the door for bhakti. Whereas going to demigod, it does not go to bhakti. It is all based on karmic credit. That is the third one.
Yeah, very good points.
And my clarification which I am seeking is going back to Dhruva Maharaj, 5 years young, went to the forest, and such an elevated soul. And when he returned, and how such an elevated soul was asking for something from the Lord. Elevated soul, being a pure devotee, he will not ask. That is what is baffling to me. And subject to further, the 10th, he goes to fight with the yakshas, and then he later realized, after the advice of the Maitreya Muni in chapter 11. So I'm little surprised, such an elevated soul, how it could be, or is it a Maya created as a message to all of us by Lord Krishna? That is my clarification I am seeking, Prabhuji.
Yeah, so originally Dhruva Maharaj is not pure. It becomes pure by following the process. And that's when he realized his mistake, and that's why he was regretting that I went to the Lord with material desires. But he started as an ordinary person. Yes, he goes on to purify himself, and then he realizes. Uncle?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Right. Okay, let's discuss Canto 4, Chapter 10. So Canto 4, Chapter 10 is pretty straightforward chapter. The context of where we are in the Dhruva Maharaj pastime, that the essential instruction from the life of Dhruva Maharaj is that everyone is fit to worship the Lord. Even if one has many material desires to fulfill, he should take to Krishna consciousness and worship the Supreme Lord Krishna. And the second important learning from Dhruva Maharaj's pastime is how to be free of envy is that upon meeting a more qualified person, one should rejoice and not be envy. Upon meeting a less qualified person, one should feel compassion and not look down on the less qualified. Upon meeting an equally qualified person, one should be friendly and not competitive. This way, one is never affected by the threefold miseries of material world. Upon Dhruva's severe austerities, the effect of Dhruva's meditation is that the earth was pushed down because of his weight and all got suffocated. Therefore, the Lord appeared in front of Dhruva to stop Dhruva. And then Dhruva Maharaj offers prayers to the Lord. Lord gives benediction of pole star or the Dhruva Loka, plus that Dhruva Maharaj will rule his father's kingdom for 36,000 years. In Canto 4, Chapter 9, verse number 23, 4.9.23, Lord also say that Dhruva Maharaj's brother Uttama will be killed. And this killing of Uttama is described in this chapter 10. Canto 4, chapter 10 is titled Dhruva Maharaj's fight with Yakshas. Now, this chapter 10 has no parts. The entire chapter is essentially one topic. Now, there are few set of verses describing a particular event, which I will highlight as we progress through. But essentially, the entire chapter is one topic. Now, we'll soon read that how come Dhruva Maharaj, a pure devotee, is becoming angry, and how come Dhruva Maharaj, a pure devotee, is on a killing rampage. And Uttanapada, Dhruva Maharaj's father, was anxious for self-realization. Hence, Uttanapada enthrones his worthy son Dhruva Maharaj, and Uttanapada retired even before getting Dhruva Maharaj married. So this was among the last verse in Canto 4, Chapter 9. It's 4.9.67, where Uttanapada is retiring and giving the throne to Dhruva Maharaj. So in Chapter 10, verses 1 and 2 talk about Dhruva Maharaj's marriage and his descendants. The chapter 1 and verse 1 and 2 in chapter 10 describe Dhruva's marriage to Brahmi. They had two sons, Kalpa and Vatsara, plus the marriage of Dhruva to Ila, and they had a daughter and son, Utkala. Is our dear Aditi able to read chapter 10, verse 1 and 2, translation plus purports?
Yes, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Text 1 translation. The great sage Maitreya said, My dear Vidura, thereafter Dhruva Maharaja married the daughter of Prajapati Sisumara, whose name was Brahmi, and two sons named Kalpa and Vatsara were born of her. Purport. It appears that Dhruva Maharaja married after being installed on the throne of his father and after the departure of his father to the forest for self-realization. It is very important to note in this connection that since Maharaja Uttanapada was greatly affectionate towards his son, and since it is the duty of a father to get his sons and daughters married as quickly as possible, Why did he not get his son married before he left home? The answer is that Maharaja Uttanapada was a Rajarsi saintly king. Although he was busy in his political affairs and duties of government management, he was very anxious for self realization. Therefore, as soon as his son Dhruva Maharaja was quite worthy to take charge of the government, he took the opportunity to leave home, just like his son, who, without fear, left home for self realization even at the age of 5 years. These are rare instances from which we can see that the importance of spiritual realization is above all other important work. Maharaja Uttanapada knew very well that to get his son Dhruva Maharaja married was not so important that it should take preference to his going away to the forest for realization. Text to translation. The greatly powerful Dhruva Maharaja had another wife named Ila, who was the daughter of the demigod Vayu. By her, he begot a son named Utkala and a very beautiful daughter. Hare Krishna.
So we read in the purport the importance of self-realization. And yes, we also discussed, and his Prabhupada explains that Dhruva Maharaj is a rare instance that self-realization is above all important work. Now verses 3 to 7 describe Uttama being killed by Yakshas. That was predicted by the Lord in 4.9.23. These verses are straightforward. Shivangi, 3 to 7 translations per purport.
Purport to all of them, Prabhuji?
3 to 7 translations plus purport.
Okay. Text 3. Dhruva Maharaja's younger brother Uttama, who was still unmarried, once went on a hunting excursion and was killed by a powerful Yaksha in the Himalaya mountains. Along with him, his mother Suruchi also followed the path of her son. She died. Text 4. When Dhruva Maharaja heard of the killing of his brother Uttama by the Yakshas in the Himalaya mountains, being overwhelmed with lamentation and anger, he got on his chariot and went out for victory over the city of the Yakshas, Alakapuri. Purport. Dhruva Maharaja's becoming angry, overwhelmed with grief, and envious of the enemies was not incompatible with his position as a great devotee. It is a misunderstanding that a devotee should not be angry, envious, or overwhelmed by lamentation. Dhruva Maharaja was the king, and when his brother was unceremoniously killed, it was his duty to take revenge against the Yakshas from the Himalayas. Dhruva Maharaja went to the northern direction of the Himalayan range. In a valley, he saw a city full of ghostly persons who were followers of Lord Shiva. Purport. In this verse, it is stated that the Yakshas are more or less devotees of Lord Shiva. By this indication, the Yakshas may be taken to be the Himalayan tribes like the Tibetans. Text 6. Maitreya continued. My dear Vijaya, as soon as Dhruva Maharaja reached Alakapuri, he immediately blew his conch shell, and the sound reverberated throughout the entire sky and in every direction. The wives of the Yakshas became very much frightened. From their eyes it was apparent that they were full of anxiety. Text 7. O hero Vijaya, the greatly powerful heroes of the Yakshas, unable to tolerate the resounding vibration of the conch shell of Dhruva Maharaja, came forth from their city with weapons and attacked Dhruva. Hare Krishna.
So he read in the purport, Prabhupada explained that it is a misunderstanding that some may think that devotees should not be angry. Rather, because Dhruva Maharaj is a king and because his brother Uttama was unnecessarily killed, it was king's duty to punish the Yakshas. Verses 8 to 12 describe the fighting between Dhruva Maharaj and the Yakshas. All these verses are also straightforward. Mother Jija, 8 to 12 translations.
Hare Krishna. Text 8. Dhruva Maharaj, who was great charioteer and certainly a great bowman, also immediately began to kill them by simultaneously discharging arrows 3 at a time. Text 9. When the heroes of the Yakshas saw that all their heads were being thus threatened by Dhruva Maharaj, they could very easily understand their awkward position, and they concluded that they would certainly be defeated. But as heroes, they lauded the action of Dhruva. Text 10. Just like serpents who cannot tolerate being trampled upon by anyone's feet, the Yakshas, being intolerant of the wonderful powers of Dhruva Maharaj, threw twice as many arrows, 6 from each of their soldiers, and thus they were valiantly exhibited their powers. Text 11 to 12. The Yaksha soldiers were 150,000 strong, all greatly angry and all desiring to defeat the wonderful activities of Dhruva Maharaj. With full strength, they showered upon Maharaj Dhruva, along with their chariot and charioteer, various types of feathered arrows, parighas, iron baldungs, nistri Hasas, swords, parasasulas, tridents, parasavadhas, lances, saktis, pikes, ratis, spears, and Vusundis weapon. Hare Krishna.
So straightforward verses about the fight. The Yakshas also appreciated Dhruv Maharaj. So this appreciation of enemy's prowess is a characteristics of a real Kshatriya spirit. Verses 13 to 17 describe various analogies of the fight, and we will discuss one verse at a time. We'll read the analogies of each of these verses and purpose to cover all the analogies. Abhishek Prabhu, 13 translation plus purport.
Hare Krishna. Verse 13. Dhruv Maharaj was completely covered by an incessant shower of weapons, just as a mountain is covered by incessant rainfall. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura points out in this connection that although Dhruv Maharaj was covered by incessant arrows of the enemy, this does not mean that he succumbed in the battle. The example of a mountain peak being covered by incessant rain is just suitable. For when a mountain is covered by incessant rain, all dirty things are washed from the body of the mountain. Similarly, the incessant shower of the arrows from the enemy gave Dhruv Maharaj new vigor to defeat them. In other words, whatever incompetency he might have had was washed away.
So the verse description is that Dhruv Maharaj became covered by a shower of weapons, and the analogies describe that just as a mountain is covered by torrents of rain. So what's the significance here? That with rain, dirty things are washed away from the mountain. Similarly, with the arrows, whatever incompetence Dhruva had was washed away, and his vigor to fight was renewed. Everybody with me on the analogy and discussion?
Very realistic analogy.
Abhishek Prabhu.
Prabhuji, what is this incompetence? Like, is it his reluctance of fighting or something else?
It's not necessarily reluctance. It's just that sometimes you may have more volume of opposite fighters. So his vigor got regenerated when so many arrows were showered at him. And that's the analogy explained, that when you have so much rain, it actually washes away the dirt. So something was covered that he might not have been fighting at his full vigor. And as soon as he saw those competition with so many arrows, his vigor got regenerated to fight vigorously. Abhishek Prabhu?
Thank you, Prabhu.
Right. Chandran Prabhu, 14 translation and purport.
Hare Krishna. Text 14. All the Siddhas from the higher planetary systems were observing the fight from the sky. And when they saw that Dhruva Maharaja had been covered by the incessant arrows of the enemy, they roared tumultuously. The grandson of Manu, Dhruva, is now lost. They cried that Dhruva Maharaja was just like the sun, and that now he had set within the ocean of the Yakshas. Purport. In this verse, the word Manava is very significant. Generally, this word is used to mean human being. Dhruva Maharaja is also described here as Manava. Not only is Dhruva Maharaja a descendant of Manu, but all human society descends from Manu. According to Vedic civilization, Manu is the lawgiver. Even today, Hindus in India follow the laws given by Manu. Everyone, therefore, in human society is a Manava or descendant from Manu. But Dhruva Maharaja is a distinguished Manava because he is a great devotee. The denizens of the planet Siddhaloka, where the residents can fly in the sky without airplanes, were anxious over Dhruva Maharaja's welfare in the battlefield. Srila Rupa Goswami says, therefore, that not only is a devotee well protected by the Supreme Lord, but all the demigods and even ordinary men are anxious for his security and safety. The comparison given here that Dhruva Maharajas appeared to merge in the ocean of the Yakshas is also significant. When the sun sets on the horizon, it appears that the sun drowns in the ocean. But factually, the sun has no difficulty. Similarly, although Dhruva appeared to drown in the ocean of the Yakshas, he had no difficulty. As the sun rises again in due course at the end of night, so Dhruva Maharaja, although he might have been in difficulty, because after all, it was a fight, and in any fighting activities, there are reverses. That did not mean that he was defeated. Hare Krishna.
So the verse says that the Siddhas cried as Dhruva appeared to merge among the Yakshas. And the analogy is that as the sun sets in the ocean, so the significance of the understanding is, or the point is that although seeming to drown in the ocean, the sun is not harmed. Similarly, Dhruva had no difficulty. Everybody with me? Questions, comments, realizations? Uncle will read 15 translation and purport.
Hare Krishna, verse 15, translation. The Yakshas, being temporarily victorious, exclaimed that they had conquered Dhruva Maharaja. But in the meantime, Dhruva's chariot suddenly appeared, just as the sun suddenly appears from within the foggy mist. Purport. Here, Dhruva Maharaja is compared to the sun and the great assembly of the Akshas to foggy mist. Fog is insignificant in comparison with the sun. Although the sun is sometimes seem to be covered by fog. In fact, the sun cannot be covered by anything. Our eyes may be covered by a cloud, but the sun is never covered. By this comparison to the sun, the greatness of Dhruva Maharaja in all circumstances is affirmed. Hare Krishna.
So the verse says that as the Yakshas proclaim victory, Dhruva Maharaj re-emerged. And the analogy is given that as the sun appears from foggy mist, the point is that the insignificant fog cannot cover the sun. It only covers our vision. By comparison to the sun, Dhruva's greatness is being described here. Mother Chandranti will read 16 translation.
Text 16. Dhruva Maharaj's bow and arrows twanged and hissed, causing lamentation in the hearts of his enemies. He began to shoot instant arrows, shattering all their different weapons, just as the blasting wind scattered the assembled cloud in the sky. Hare Krishna.
So the verse says, Dhruva scattered the Yaksha's weapons with his arrow. The analogy is just as the wind scatters clouds in the sky. The meaning is that Dhruva's bow and arrow created havoc for the Yakshas. Kalyani, 17 translation.
Hare Krishna. Translation, text 17. The sharp arrows released from the bow of Dhruva Maharaj pierced the shields and bodies of the enemy like the thunderbolts released by the King of Heaven, which dismantled the bodies of the mountains.
So verse says that Dhruva's sharp arrows pierced the bodies of the enemy. The analogy is described just as thunderbolts pierce mountains. So the mountain of Dhruva was revitalized by the Yakshas' attack. And now the mountain of Yakshas are being killed by Dhruva's attack. Questions, comments, realizations on the fights and the analogies? Now verses 18 to 21 describe Yakshas fleeing away. But Dhruva Maharaj is still suspicious. Sridhar Prabhu, 18 to 21 translations, they are straightforward.
Hare Krishna. The great sage Maitreya continued, My dear Vidura, the heads of those who were cut to pieces by the arrows of Dhruva Maharaj were decorated very beautifully with earrings and turbans. The legs of their bodies were as beautiful as golden palm trees. Their arms were decorated with golden bracelets and armlets, and on their heads there were very valuable helmets bedecked with gold. All these ornaments lying on that battlefield were very attractive and could bewilder the mind of a hero. Text 20 translation. The remaining yakshas who somehow or other were not killed had their limbs cut to pieces by the arrows of the great warrior Dhruva Maharaj. Thus they began to flee, just as elephants flee when defeated by a lion. Text 21 translation. Dhruva Maharaj, the best of human beings, observed that in that great battlefield, not one of the opposing soldiers were left standing with proper weapons. He then desired to see the city of Alkapuri, but he thought to himself, no one knows the plans of the mystic Yakshas. Hare Krishna.
So just describes this circumstance, straightforward verses. Verses 22 to 28 describe the illusions created by Yakshas to bewilder Dhruv Maharaj. Shivangi, 22 to 28 translations are also straightforward. Shivangi.
Hare Krishna, 22. In the meantime, while Dhruva Maharaja, doubtful of his mystic enemies, was talking with his charioteer, they heard a tremendous sound as if the whole ocean were there, and they found that from the sky a great dust storm was coming over them from all directions. Text 23. But in a moment the whole sky was overcast with dense clouds, and severe thundering was heard. There was flickering electric lightning and severe rainfalls. Text 24. My dear faultless Vidura, in that rainfall there was blood, mucus, pus, stew, urine, and marrow falling heavily before Dhruva Maharaja, and there were chunks of bodies falling from the sky. Text 25. Next, a great mountain was visible in the sky, and from all directions hailstones fell, along with lances, clubs, swords, iron bludgeons, and great pieces of stone. Text 26. Dhruva Maharaja also saw many big serpents with angry eyes vomiting forth fire and coming to devour him, along with groups of elephants, lions, and tigers. Text 27. Then, as if it were the time of the dissolution of the whole world, the fierce sea with foaming waves and great roaring sounds came forward before him. Text 28. The demon Yakshas are by nature very heinous, and by their demonic power of illusion, they can create many strange phenomena to frighten one who is less intelligent.
All right, straightforward verses. And the last two verses, the sages arrive and offer prayers for Dhruv Maharaj's protection. Aditi wants to read 29-30 translations and purports.
Hare Krishna.
Hello. Prabhuji. Text 29, translation. When the great sages heard that Dhruva Maharaja was overpowered by the illusionary mystic tricks of the demons, they immediately assembled to offer him auspicious encouragement. Text 30, translation. All the sages said, Dear Dhruva, O son of King Uttanapada, may the Supreme Personality of Godhead known as Sarnagandhava, who relieves the distresses of his devotees, kill all your threatening enemies. The holy name of the Lord is as powerful as the Lord himself. Therefore, simply by chanting and hearing the holy name of the Lord, men can be fully protected from fierce death without difficulty. Thus the devotee is saved. Purpose. The great Rishis approached Dhruva Maharaja at a time when his mind was very perplexed due to the magical feats exhibited by the Yakshas. A devotee is always protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By his inspiration only, the sages came to encourage Dhruva Maharaja and assure him that there was no danger because he was a soulfully surrendered to the Supreme Lord. By the grace of the Lord, if a devotee at the time of death can simply chant his holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Simply by chanting this Mahamantra, he immediately surpasses the great ocean of the material sky and enters the spiritual sky. He never has to come back for repetition of birth and death. Simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord, one can surpass the ocean of death. So Dhruva Maharaja was certainly able to surpass the illusionary magical feats of the Yakshas, which for the time being disturbed his mind. Hare Krishna.
Simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, one can cross the ocean of material existence. Similarly, Dhruva crossed over the illusions created by the yakshas by chanting the Lord's name. Any questions, comments, realizations on chapter 10?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Krishna?
Prabhuji, like here it seems that Dhruva Maharaj is correct and Yakshas are incorrect, but he is also killing all of them. Uh, so I'm not able to understand. Like someone would have killed his brother, but he is killing every one of them. And then there are other devotees who are still helping him also in some way.
Yeah, very good. So Manu is going to come up in upcoming chapter and say this exact same point to stop Dhruva Maharaj. Manu is going to say, Dhruva, only one yaksha killed Uttama, and you are unnecessarily killing all the yakshas, therefore stop the fight. So Manu is anyway going to come and say this exact same point. So Abhishek Prabhu, you have the absolute correct realization. So far, what Prabhupada described at the start of this chapter, that the fighting of Dhruva and Dhruva becoming angry was correct point. But leading to go on to kill so many was incorrect. All this was because of anger. So there's a discussion coming up. Already we have discussed so many times throughout our scriptural study how to be away from anger, not let anger overcome you. And that point gets discussed in upcoming verses and chapters where Manu will say this exact same point that Abhishek Prabhu mentioned. I briefly will answer, it will come up in when we'll discuss more on this. Abhishek Prabhu.
This point of anger was like very interesting, that at one place it is encouraged and then immediately it leads to something which is not auspicious.
So anger is not encouraged. Anger is never encouraged.
Here you mentioned that Srila Prabhupada said that it was correct.
It was correct to fight. That does not mean you have to become angry. Right? What Prabhupada said at the start of this chapter 10 was that it was okay for Dhruv Maharaj to become angry that his brother Uttama was killed for no fault of Uttama. But that does not mean that you let anger overcome you. Right? Yes. Becoming angry, yes, you are a king, you are a Kshatriya, you are bound to be under the mode of passion, but that does not mean that you should let anger overpower you. You still have to be Raj Rishi. And all this discussion, Swayambhu Manu will have, you are Raj Rishi, you are a pure devotee. You have seen Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why are you killing so many yakshas? He is going to say exact these same points in upcoming verses and chapters.
Thank you, very much. Very helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Become angry, just don't let anger overpower you. And therefore, I have said that there's a very fine line between you using anger in Krishna's service versus anger using you in Maya's service. Therefore, stay away from anger. Unless you become a pure devotee, stay away from anger. Everybody on the same page to stay away from anger?
Prabhuji, the chapter 10 is the prelude for chapter 11, where the focus is on controlling anger and not to have the wrath of Lord Shiva, because the Yakshas are followers of Shiva and Kuvera.
Yeah, you are correct. The chapter 10 just lays the foundation. And chapter 11 is titled Swayambhuva Manu advises Dhruv Maharaj to stop fighting, and Swayambhuva Manu gives these reasons we briefly discussed already. Everybody on the same page about not being controlled by anger and therefore to stay away from anger?
Yes, Prabhuji. Absolutely correct.
In fact, anger affects the individual more than the people against whom they are angry.
Correct. All right. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of 4th canto, 10th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Dhruv Maharaj's fight with the Yakshas. Let's briefly touch base on chapter 11. Chapter 11 is titled Swayambhuva Manu advises Dhruv Maharaj to stop fighting. Chapter 11 is divided into 4 parts. Part 1 is verses 1 to 5. Dhruva overcomes the Yakshas' illusions and massacres them. Part 2, verses 6 to 14. Manu's reasons to not kill the Yakshas. Part 3, verses 15 to 26. Understanding the ultimate cause as the Supreme Lord. Part 4, verses 27 to 35. Give up anger and surrender unto the Lord. Abhishek Prabhu, chapter 11, verses 1 to 4, translations and purports are straightforward.
Hare Krishna. Chapter. Oh, yes. Yes. Chapter 11, verse 1. Translation. Sri Maitreya said, My dear Vidura, when Dhruv Maharaj heard the encouraging words of the great sages, he performed the Achamana by touching water and then took up his arrow made by Lord Narayana and fixed it upon his bow. Purport. Dhruv Maharaj was given a specific arrow made by Lord Narayana himself, and he now fixed it upon his bow to finish the illusory atmosphere created by the Yakshas. As it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita 7.14, Mameva ye prapadyante maya metam tarantite. Without Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, no one is able to overcome the action of the illusory energy. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has also given us a nice weapon for this age, as stated in the Bhagavatam, Sangopangastra. In this age, the Narayana Astra, or the weapon to drive away Maya, is the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra in pursuance of the associates of Lord Chaitanya. Such as Advait Prabhu, Nityananda, Gadadhara, and Srivasa. Text 2. Translation. As soon as Dhruva Maharaj joined the Narayana Astra arrow to his bow, the illusion created by the Yakshas was immediately vanquished. Just as all material planes and pleasures are vanquished when one becomes fully cognizant of the self. Purport. Krishna is like the sun, And Maya, or the illusory energy of Krishna, is like darkness. Darkness means absence of light. Similarly, Maya means absence of Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness and Maya are always there side by side. As soon as there is awakening of Krishna consciousness, all the illusory pains and pleasures of material existence are vanquished. Maya metam tarantite. Constant chanting of the Mahamantra will keep us always aloof from the illusory energy of Maya. Text 3 translation. Even as Dhruva Maharaj fixed the weapon made by Narayana Rishi onto his bow, arrows with golden shafts and feathers, like the wings of a swan, flew out from it. They entered the enemy soldiers. They entered the enemy soldiers with a great hissing sound, just as peacocks enter a forest with tumultuous crowing. Text 4 translation. Those sharp arrows dismayed the enemy soldiers, who became almost unconscious. But various yakshas on the battlefield, in a rage against Dhruv Maharaj, somehow or other collected their weapons and attacked, just as serpents agitated by Garuda rushed towards Garuda with upraised hoods. All the yaksha soldiers prepared to overcome Dhruv Maharaj with their upraised weapons.
So we read in the first purport, Sa Anga Upa Anga Astra. Anybody remembers what is this verse Prabhupada referring to? Very well known verse. Sankirtan verse. I will bring up on screen. So this is 11.5.32. Anybody wants to recite this verse? Krishna Varanam Tvishakaran Krishnam. Somebody wants to recite?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Go ahead, Prabhu.
Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam Sangopangastra Parsadam Yagnai Sankirtana Prayer Yajanti Sumedasaha. Hare Krishna. Translation. In the age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, who constantly sings the names of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. Hare Krishna.
So this verse, this word, Sa Anga Upa Anga Astra, this is what Prabhupada referenced in Keto 4 that we just read in 11. That Sa Anga is along with his associates, Upa Anga is servitors, and Astra are weapons. These are the weapons, the chanting, the congregational chanting, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra are the weapons in the age of Kali Yuga. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us this nice weapon for this age, as we read in 11.5.32, Sa Anga Upanga Astra, that in this age, the Narayana Astra, or the weapon to drive away Maya, is the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Krishna and Maya are always there side by side. By chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, will keep Maya away. Shivangi has a question. Shivangi, you had a hand up. Okay, we cannot hear Shivangi right now. Chandran Prabhu, verse 5, translation and purport, paragraph number 1.
Hare Krishna. Text 5 translation. When Dhruva Maharaja saw the Yakshas coming forward, he immediately took his arrows and cut the enemies to pieces, separating their arms, legs, heads, and bellies from their bodies. He delivered the Yakshas to the planetary system, which is situated above the sun globe and which is attainable only by first-class brahmacharis. who have never discharged their semen. Purport: to be killed by the Lord or by his devotees is auspicious for non-devotees. The Yakshas were killed indiscriminately by Dhruva Maharaja, but they attained the planetary system attainable only for brahmacharis who never discharge their semens. As the impersonalist jnanis or the demons killed by the Lord attain Brahmaloka or Satyaloka, persons killed by a devotee of the Lord also attain Satyaloka. To reach the Satyaloka planetary system described here, one has to be elevated above the sun glow. Killing, therefore, is not always bad. If the killing is done by the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his devotee or in great sacrifices, it is for the benefit of the entity killed in that way. Material, so-called non-violence is very insignificant in comparison to killing done by the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his devotees. Even when a king or a state government kills a person who is a murderer, that killing is for the benefit of the murderer, for thus he may become cleared of all sinful reactions. Hare Krishna.
So to be killed by Lord or by his pure devotees is auspicious. Shivangi?
Prabhuji, I just had a question. Somewhere I think in the chapters I read that when a Kshatriya, when he kills, it still counts as a sinful reaction. It's when they go hunting or when they kill someone. Is that true?
So depends whether you are killing for administration or whether you are killing for your just fun or just for the sake of killing. If it is for administration, it's not at the same level of killing somebody for no fault of theirs. So just as we just read in the purport in verse 5, very last line says that when government kills a murderer, it is for the benefit of the murderer that he will be cleared of sinful reaction. And simultaneously, the government or whosoever is executing that killing, he does not get any sinful reactions for that. Shivangi?
Okay, Prabhuji. But when they go hunting or something in the forest, that's considered for pleasure.
So karma is very difficult subject matter. Now the killing of animals when they are going for hunting, that is part of their Kshatriya lifestyle, that the Kshatriya or the king has to be able to learn to kill somebody. So that's their learning, so that when there is an actual war that they can kill. So it's not a black and white answer for karma. Shivangi.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thanks.
Right. Part 2 is verses 6 to 14. Title is Manu's reasons to not kill the Yakshas. So Manu arrives to stop Dhruv Maharaj from killing because Dhruv Maharaj killed so many because of fault of one Yaksha. Now such excessive anger is sinful. Such as excessive anger is bodily concept, and this does not please the Lord. Uncle, verse 6 and 7 translation and purport, faster pace.
Hare Krishna. Translation, verse 6. When Swayambhav Manu saw his grandson Dhruva Maharaja was killing so many of the Yakshas who were not actually offenders, out of his great compassion he approached Dhruva with great sages to give him good instruction. Text 7.
Purports also.
Dhruva Maharaja attacked Alkapuri, city of the Yakshas, because his brother was killed by one of them. Actually, only one of the citizens, not all of them, was guilty of killing his brother, Uttama. Dhruva Maharaja, of course, took a very serious step when his brother was killed by the Yakshas. War was declared and the fighting was going on. This sometimes happens in present days also. For one man's fault, a whole state is sometimes attacked. That kind of wholesale attack is not approved by Manu, the father and the lawgiver of the human race. He therefore wanted to stop his grandson Dhruva from continuing to kill the Yaksha citizens who were not offenders. Text 7. Translation. The Lord Manu, my dear son, Lord Manu said, my dear son, please stop. It is not good to become unnecessarily angry. It is the path to hellish life. Now you are going beyond the limit by killing yakshas who are actually not offenders. Purport. In this verse, the word Atrasana means with unnecessary anger. When Dhruva Maharaja went beyond the limits of necessary anger, his grandfather Swayambhu Manu immediately came to protect him from further sinful action. From this we can understand that killing is not bad, but when killing is done unnecessarily or even when offenseless person is killed, such killing opens the path to hell. Dhruva Maharaja was saved from such sinful action because he was a great devotee. A Kshatriya is allowed to kill only for maintenance of the law and order of the state. He is not allowed to kill or commit violence without reason. Violence is certainly a path leading to a hellish condition of life, but it is also required for maintenance of the law and order of the state. Here Lord Manu prohibited Dhruva Maharaja from killing the Yakshas because only one of them was punishable for killing his brother Uttama. Not all of the Yakshas citizens were punishable. We find them in modern warfare. However, that attacks are made upon innocent citizens who are without fault. According to the law of Manu, such warfare is a most sinful activity. Furthermore, at the present moment, civilized nations are unnecessarily maintaining many slaughterhouses for killing innocent animals. When a nation is attacked by its enemies, the wholesale slaughter of the citizens should be taken as a reaction to their sinful activities. That is nature's law. Hare Krishna.
So lot of points explained in the purport. First, obviously the unnecessary anger being detrimental is described. Now, Prabhupada also explained that killing is not bad, but when killing is done unnecessarily or when an offenseless person is killed, such killing opens the path to hell. And Swayambhu Manu is trying to save Dhruva Maharaj from such sinful action because Dhruva Maharaj is a great devotee. And Shivangi's question, I'm hoping Shivangi it got answered here in the purport we read, that a Kshatriya is allowed to kill only for maintenance of law and order of the state. He is not allowed to kill or commit violence without reason. And the other point being explained about was the modern warfare that attacks are being made upon innocent citizens who are not at fault. Shivangi, does that answer your just a few minutes earlier question?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Very good. Mother Jija will read 8, 9, 10 translations and purports.
Text 8. My dear son, the killing of the sinless yakshas which you have undertaken is not at all approved by authorities, and it does not befit our family. which is supposed to know the law of religion and irreligion. Text 9. My dear son, it has been proved that you are very much affectionate towards your brother and are greatly aggrieved at his being killed by the Yakshas. But just consider, for one Yaksha's offense, you have killed many others who are innocent. Text 10. Translation. One should not accept the body as the self and thus, like the animals, kill the bodies of others. This is especially forbidden by saintly persons who follow the path of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. The word sadhunam rishi sana Tinam are very significant. Sadhu means a saintly person. But who is saintly person? A saintly person is he who follows the path of rendering service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Rishikesha, in the Narada Pancharatra, it is said, Hirikesh Hirikesha Sevanam Bhaktir Uchyate. The process of rendering favorable service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead with one's senses is called bhakti or devotional service. Therefore, why should a person who is already engaged in the service of the Lord engage himself in personal sense gratification? Dhruva Maharaj is advised here by Lord Manu that he is a pure servitor of the Lord. Why should he unnecessarily engage like the animals in the bodily concept of life? An animal thinks that the body of another animal is his food. Therefore, in the bodily concept of life, one animal attacks another. A human being, especially one who is a devotee of the Lord, should not act like this. A sadhu, a saintly devotee, is not supposed to kill animals unnecessarily. Hare Krishna.
Devotee, whether he's a Kshatriya or not, should not kill animals unnecessarily. Abhishek Prabhu, the discussion you started already got answered somehow so far.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Very good. And now, in verse 11, 12, 13, it will describe how to please the Lord. So far it says, okay, stop this. If you want to please the Lord, how to please the Lord is described in here. Mother Kalyani, 11, 12, 13 translations plus purport.
Hare Krishna. Text 11, translation. It is very difficult to achieve the spiritual abode of Hari in the Vaikuntha planets, but you're so fortunate that you're already destined to go to that abode by worshipping him as the supreme abode of all living entities. Purport. The material bodies of all living entities cannot exist unless sheltered by the spirit soul and the super soul. The spirit soul is dependent on the super soul who is present even within the atom. Therefore, since anything material or spiritual is completely dependent on the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Lord is referred to here as Bhutatva, Bhuta, Vasa. Dhruva Maharaja, as a Kshatriya, could have argued with his grandfather Manu when Manu requested him to stop fighting. But even though Dhruva could have argued that as a Kshatriya it was his duty to fight with the enemy, he was informed that since every living entity is a residence of the Supreme Lord and can be considered a temple of the Lord, the unnecessary killing of any living entity is not permitted. Text 12. Translation. Because you are a pure devotee of the Lord is always thinking of you and you are also recognized by all his confidential devotees. Your life is meant for exemplary behavior. I am therefore surprised. Why have you undertaken such an abominable task? Purport. Dhruva Maharaja was a pure devotee and was accustomed to always thinking of the Lord. Reciprocally, the Lord always thinks of those pure devotees who think of him only 24 hours a day. As a pure devotee does not know anything beyond the Lord, so the Lord does not know anything beyond his pure devotee. Swayambhu Manu pointed out this fact to Dhruva Maharaja. Not only are you a pure devotee, but you are recognized by all pure devotees of the Lord. You should always act in such an exemplary way that others may learn from you. Under the circumstances, it is surprising that you have killed so many faultless yakshas. Text 13 translation. The Lord is very satisfied with his devotee when the devotee greets other people with tolerance, mercy, friendship, and equality. Purport. It is a duty of an advanced devotee in the second stage of devotional perfection to act in accordance with this verse. There are three stages of devotional life. In the lower stage, a devotee is simply concerned with the deity in the temple and he worships the Lord with great devotion according to rules and regulations. In the second stage, the devotee is cognizant of his relationship with the Lord, his relationship with the fellow devotees, his relationship with the persons who are innocent, and his relationship with the persons who are envious. Sometimes devotees are ill treated by envious persons. It is advised that an advanced devotee should be tolerant. He should show complete mercy to persons who are ignorant or innocent. A preacher devotee is meant to show mercy to innocent persons whom he can elevate to devotional service. Everyone by constitutional position is an eternal servant of God. Therefore, a devotee's business is to awaken everyone's Krishna consciousness. That is his mercy. As for a devotee's treatment of other devotees who are his equals, he should maintain friendship with them. His general view should be to see every living entity as a part of the Supreme Lord. Different living entities appear in different forms of dress, but according to the instruction of the Bhagavad Gita, a learned person sees all living entities equally. Such treatment by the devotee is very much appreciated by the Supreme Lord. It is said, therefore, that a saintly person is always tolerant and merciful. He is a friend to everyone, never an enemy to anyone, and he is peaceful. These are some of the good qualities of a devotee. Hare Krishna.
So Lord is pleased when first one is tolerant towards seniors and tolerant when ill-treated by envious. Second, being merciful towards inferior and ignorant people. Third, by being friendly towards equals. And fourth, by being equal to everyone. These are very much the qualities of a Madhyamadikari. So verse number 13, in the verse and the purport, Prabhupada explains the Manu's instructions to Dhruva on how to properly greet other people in a way that pleases the Lord. Prabhupada explains that it is a duty of Madhyamadikari to act according to this verse. Kanishta Adhikari devotee is simply concerned with the Gopinath, the deity form in the temple, and the Kanishta Adhikari worships the Lord with great devotion in the temple. But what he does outside, he does not care. Madhyamadikari devotee is cognizant of his relationship with the Lord, his relationship with fellow devotees, his relationship with persons who are innocent, and his relationship with persons who are envious. Therefore, Prabhupada says it is advised that an advanced devotee should be tolerant. It show complete mercy to persons who are ignorant or innocent or envious against you. You still be tolerant. A preacher devotee is meant to show mercy to innocent people, whom the preacher devotee can elevate to devotional service. And devotee's treatment for other equal devotees, he should maintain friendly relationship with them. We discussed all this earlier also, that this is essentially the one of the key instructions from Dhruva Maharaj's pastime. So a preacher devotee, his view should be that of a Samadarshina, to see every living entity as part and parcel of the Supreme Lord and respect everyone. Such a treatment by the devotee is appreciated by the Supreme Lord. Therefore, the saintly devotee, saintly person, should be tolerant and merciful, be a friend to everyone, never an enemy to anyone, and be peaceful. These are the qualities of a devotee that pleases the Lord. Questions, comments, realizations? So when
Hare Krishna.
Sridhar Prabhu, go ahead.
Yeah, so Prabhupada in the purport refers to the Samadarshana verse, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Very good. 5.18 Bhagavad Gita Samadarshina verse. Very good. So when the Lord is pleased, the result is that one becomes free from the clutches of the modes, and this is described in verse number 14. Mother Chandra Aunty, 14 translation and paragraph number 1 purport.
Text 14, translation. One who actually satisfies the Supreme Personality of Godhead during one's lifetime becomes liberated from the gross of subtle material conditions, thus being freed from all material modes of nature. He achieved unlimited spiritual bliss. Purport. In the previous verse, it has been explained that one should treat all living entities with tolerance, mercy, friendship, and equality. By such behavior, one satisfies the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and upon his satisfaction, the devotee immediately becomes free from all material conditions. The Lord also confirms this in the Bhagavad Gita. Anyone who sincerely and seriously engage in my service immediately becomes situated in the transcendental stage wherein he can enjoy unlimited spiritual bliss. Everyone in this material world is struggling hard in order to achieve blissful life. Unfortunately, people do not know how to achieve it. Atheists do not believe in God, and certainly they do not please Him. Here it is clearly said that upon pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one immediately attains to the spiritual platform and enjoy unlimited blissful life. To become free from material existence means to become free from the influence of material nature. Hare Krishna.
So when you please the Lord, you become free from the clutches of the modes of material nature. All right. Spiritual endeavor homework questions. Question number 1, write down please. Summarize Srila Prabhupada's comments where Manu instructs Dhruva how to properly greet other people in a way that pleases the Lord. Comes from chapter 11, verse number 13 that we just read. For next class, read rest of chapter 11 as well as read chapter 12. Questions, comments, realizations?
Chapter 10 and 11, Prabhuji, is really appropriate for mankind in every part of it. Really, if you practice right from anger, how to please the Lord, how to treat people, is a revelation and make us more realized people and civilized. Thank you. And I am benefited.
Very good. Thank you for listening with rapt attention. You have the absolute correct realizations. All right, I will stop here. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, take care, everybody.
Thank you.